In the 1960s, China, not yet completely recovered from the Great Leap, again fell into a chaos, the Cultural Revolution. It was a horrible time in the darkest in contemporary Chinese history. Its original slogan was to beat down the world and prevent China from taking the capitalist route. All the performances, parades, rallies were about overthrowing landlords or anyone in higher position. At that time, people irrationally worshipped Mao. To see him or to shake hands with him were their supreme honor. Here, soldiers and students were singing President Mao's song that wished him to live forever. He was thought to be a savior or a god. So when he called on the students to lead the Cultural Revolution, they jumped right in and formed the Red Guard and claimed that they would protect President Mao from those capitalist leaders. Well, they did so by quitting school, beating their teachers and landlords, reporting anything or word that might mean negative things about the revolution, and randomly accusing people of treachery. And sons and daughters of landlords or targeted leaders were not qualified to join. The Red Guard was split into two parties: the rebels who wanted to revolt against the leaders, and the royalists who approved of the leaders. There were conflicts between these two. Once the rebels prohibited Liberation Daily, saying its information were misleading. Then all the royalists and universities paraded on the street, shouting, "We want to read Liberation Daily." But soon the rebels took control. Thousands of ordinary people, denounced as class enemies and counter-revolutionaries, were abused, tortured, and killed. Our headmaster's name is Mr. Chang. To me, he's a really good teacher. He treats every single student as if they were his own kids. We really adore him. But during the Cultural Revolution, the rebels targeted him, saying that he's from a wealthy family, but we, the royalists, still think that he's innocent. And here comes the conflict. No classes were held during the school days. Instead, we started debating about whether he should be punished and writing posters. Later, almost every leader at the school became the subject. Mr. Chang was imprisoned by the rebels at the school. Then one day he committed suicide because he could no longer endure being beaten and forced to confess things that he had never done. The rebels said that death was not enough to punish him. However, we think that they overdid it. The successive headmaster was Yao Li, who was a soldier and attended the Long March. So people started targeting him. When they forced him to put his head down, he raised his head right back. They pressed, he raised. He said a communist will never lower his head. Also, my younger siblings, who were still in elementary school at the time, could not find anyone to target. So they targeted an old lady in our neighborhood. She was in Kuantou before an organization against communists. So a group of kids gathered at her house yelling, "Down with it, Bao Bao!" Near the end of the revolution, there was really no one left to target. So classmates target each other. For instance, a classmate of grandfather said that Liu was a good leader, so he was jailed at school. Another was being called a little bug. In my dorm, a girl was being targeted because her parents, who passed away, were capitalists. She and her two siblings split the golden dollars. It's highly likely that people will gather around her house and search for evidence of her parents being capitalists, so they brought them to school. Then the rebels in her sister's office found out about it, so they contacted the Red Guard at our school. They rushed into our room and searched out the dollars and gold, put them on the table. I said I had never seen those before, and they criticized her.
How dare you keep all these money which were robbed from the poor to yourself all this time? And punished her every day. Finally, she had enough of it. On a Saturday, when everyone went home, she walked to the roof of the physics building and jumped off.
然后他就一个人跑到物理楼跳下来了。
She was not dead, but she had a comminuted fracture of pelvis. When she was in a hospital, people still came and criticized her. She recovered but became lame. Now, whoever among her classmates calls her will be cursed by her on the phone. It was a scary time for all because we worried that someday the one being targeted might be us. Mao at the time intended to make political changes and prevent China from taking the capitalist route. But when the messages was passed down, misinterpretations were made. Mao mainly criticized Liu and Deng for taking the capitalist path, but the scale ran out of control. Even Mayor Chen, who's being praised in Chinese textbook, was being criticized. No one is perfect, who doesn't make any mistake. Their words or actions, some of which were made up, were being used as excuses of punishment. The rebels made posters criticizing the targeted. Everyone was obligated to put on Mao's medal. And almost every family has a plaster statue of President Mao. Now, if someone accidentally broke it, then he's done. And if someone uses the newspaper that has a picture of Mao to wrap things, he would also be targeted.
In 1981, the party declared that the Cultural Revolution was responsible for the most severe setback and the heaviest losses suffered by the party, the country, and the people since the founding of the People's Republic. It greatly impacted China's development, especially education and economy.
Cultural Revolution also postponed the education and graduation of our generation. We were 2 years later than normal to have assigned job because of the chaos. In the third year of the revolution, I was assigned to go to Sichuan. I went alone and had to switch train at Xi'an, but it was very disordered there. I could not tell which train goes to my destination. Then a train pulled in and everyone hurried to get on, so I got on too. I asked around and it was the train to Sichuan. There was no way of telling which station to get off, so I gave some of my candies to the farmer sitting near me, and I asked him to tell me when to get off. When I arrived, it was midnight. Not many people were there. I found a hotel, but it's full. I did not have a choice, so I begged to stay at the reception.
Because there were fighting and shooting at the time, it's really dangerous out.
In the end, when Mao died, because they really went beyond the limit, the two generals decided that if this continues, China will collapse. So they arrested all the rebels leaders overnight. The revolution came to an end. The entire nation celebrating. Finally, days like this came to an end. How can we still manage to survive under that condition? 2 years later, Deng brought about reform and open.
Since then, China started the path of socialism with Chinese characteristics.
Now, it's still hard to say whether the Cultural Revolution is right or wrong. It reminds people that capitalist road is not suitable for us. You may say Mao did this wrong, but when he's in power, there actually isn't any corruption. Those who are in power really devote themselves to serve the people. They are not very much different from us, but now you see corrupted governors are everywhere.
After open and reform, people only value money. They don't care about our country. They have nothing. They have no ideal. National interest is forgotten. Everything is about money. They will do anything just to get more of it. So if you see Cultural Revolution bad, it has its own benefits.
If you say open reform is good, but it still has disadvantages, right? Of course, it's great that all are wealthier, but the thoughts of many people are not as good as before. All the good things that has accumulated here in China were all disposed.